It is Friday, November 8th, 2024. This is another edition of Football Today, presented to you by Captain Morgan, the official spice rum of the NFL. I am Chris Rose, joined as always by my dudes, Bobby Skinner, Justin Penik. We are midway through the regular season here in 2024, so time to take a deep breath and wonder how all those kids are doing this year. Guys, we're going to kind of hand out our John Boy Media all-rookie team, if you will. So we're going to start under center. I would be shocked if we don't all have the same guy here. Anybody else have Jayden Daniels?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
do.
I do.
there's really no argument. I mean, he's been the best. I mean, the Commanders have, and they feel like they've gotten better as the years has went on. Where they've added so much, on his plate. Where I thought early on it was kind of a very light lift. But there's really no. I mean, Caleb has had good moments, but he's had nowhere near the consistency that Jayden Daniels has had. And that team is a playoff team and probably a division winner right now because of him.
My bigger question is, where does he finish in the MVP voting if it were today? Penik?
I think he finishes. There's Lamar, there's Josh Allen, and I mean, there's a fair argument for Jayden Daniels number 3, unless I'm forgetting somebody at the top of my head that's glaring. But there's an argument for him number 3. I don't think there's an argument right now. He's 9 touchdown passes, so the touchdown passes aren't really there. Even the yards aren't there. However, he has 4 rushing touchdowns. Excuse me. He's on pace for 8. So he's on pace for 19 passing. He's on pace for 8 rushing. That's a total of 27 touchdowns. It's a very good year. But I just do think Josh Allen and Lamar are 1 and 2. But he's there at 3.
I actually, me, Rose. I like to not make this a QB only award. I would throw Henry,
Henry
in there at either 2 or 3.
If it wasn't
Josh
a QB
Allen.
award, I agree with Bobby.
But yeah, I mean, Burrow's team's not winning, so you can't really throw him in the argument. Goff has been like extremely efficient, but I don't think he gets in there. So like he would be 3rd for quarterbacks for me. I mean, he's just really hard to prepare for, man.
I only want to spend 1 minute on this. Who's been the second best rookie quarterback? Is it Bo Nix or is it Caleb?
To me, it's Caleb. I know Bo Nix's team has won some games. He had, what was it, 2 weeks ago? Who was the game he played well against? I can't remember.
Was it in London?
It was the Panthers. I think it was the Panthers.
Well, the Panthers and the Jaguars, I feel like he had like back-to-back good games, but also those are really bad defenses. But you take good film as a rookie, in my opinion.
Yeah, but his lows are really low, and you see him missing throws. Like Bo Nix has been, to me, Bo Nix has been really bad, despite the fact that the Broncos.
Wow, you are mean.
I mean, every time. I mean, when have you watched him besides those 2 games and thought like this is even above average QB play? And Caleb's had bad moments too. Don't get me wrong, but like Bo Nix has had some ugly, ugly football and games they've won, by the way, too.
Yeah, I think he's been fine. I think it is really hard to play at this level. I mean, look how long it's taken Sam Darnold to even be like a serviceable quarterback.
I think they're the same age.
This is year 7 for Sam Darnold. Bo Nix has made 9 NFL starts. So I think he's been fine. But yeah, I would say Caleb, it's just, for goodness sakes, the difference in coaching that Caleb's getting in Chicago compared to Bo Nix out in Denver is obviously striking. Let's move on to the backfield.
Can I give you a really fun stat about Washington's offense?
Please.
Austin Gale, Washington is averaging 42.5 yards per offensive drive, the highest average for any offense in weeks 1 through 9 in this millennium, Rose. And, don't get me wrong, Cliff Kingsbury's doing some good stuff. They're running the ball really well, but if Jayden Daniels is the fuel that's pushing that offense forward. And hey, even as a Giants fan, like, it gives me hope that a guy like Jayden Daniels can come in, like a guy like CJ Stroud can come in, and even with other infrastructure, like we look at that Washington team, it's not good, but even with bad infrastructure around, a quarterback can just kind of change things and push things in the right direction, and that's exactly what Jayden Daniels has done in this millennium. And there's plenty of other stats that back up Washington being really, really good, even like historically, not just good this year.
And fun watch. It's that simple.
Yep.
Running back, you got a couple of choices. I think we're only going to go with one spot right now.
Right.
Penik, you want to give us your running back choice?
It was close between Bucky Irving and my guy, Tyrone Tracy Jr.
Yeah.
Where I think Tyrone Tracy may have more volume, but I'm going to give it to Bucky Irving because I think he has some better advanced stats There's a half a yard more yards after contact per attempt, almost double the missed tackles force. And then Bucky Irving has also been better as a receiver, too. He has more receiving yards and more catches. Now, you can argue that maybe that Tampa Bay offensive line's better than the Giants. It may be a push, certainly. But I think Bucky Irving has been more impressive. Both of those guys have been, like, it's very close. I think I'm putting a feather in between the two. But I think Bucky Irving has been more impressive, especially considering that, it is kind of a split backfield there in Tampa. But Tyrone Tracy hasn't been the starter for the whole year either.
Yeah, Tyrone Tracy was just flat out. I gave it to Tracy. I mean, he's leading the league or leading all rookies in rushing yards. He's 8th for all running backs in NFL in yards per carry. And he's playing well enough to where his team took the starting job from the vet and Devin Singletary. And that's been a more established, higher paid player than, Rachaad White in Tampa. Like, he's held up as a blocker. Bucky Irving's got a few more receiving yards than him, but I think Tyrone Tracy has, obviously I get to watch him up close and personal, and I think he's kind of revamped that rushing offense and allowed them to do a lot more than when they had Devin Singletary in there.
Yeah, he's been really good for our Giants.
Yeah, I would just say Bucky Irving only because I've watched him a little bit more, I think. I'm happy for you guys that you seemingly have found a steal who, 5th rounder, I believe, right?
Yeah, 5th. Now he's 24 years old, turning 25.
I don't care.
This month. But
so what?
Like, it looks like we're going to get 4 years of production out of him.
That's great. Both those guys are averaging 5 yards per carry, which is awesome. Bucky Irving also, I believe, is top 10 among rookies in terms of receptions. So he's been a valuable outlet, although Tracy's not that far behind him in terms of reception. So, yeah, I mean, I cast it by Bucky Irving just because I've watched probably more of him than I have of your guys. Let's get to a fun category. The wide receivers. The number one guy on your list, Bobby Skinner, is?
Number 1 is Brian Thomas Jr.
Mm-hmm.
He leads all rookies with receiving yards at 595. He's 11th in yards per catch in the NFL, 8th in yards, 5 touchdowns of 6. And then Malik Neighbors is my number 2, who, he's 8th in the NFL in yards per game. He's missed 2 games, but he's 2nd in rookie yards. And then I'm interested to see where you guys go with that third wide receiver.
Well, I have the same first 2. I think that with Brian Thomas, it's going to be a little bit like Justin Jefferson from the 2020 draft. We're going to wonder how he slipped all the way into the 20s. This year, it's not that bad because look at the 3 receivers that were taken ahead of him.
Right.
Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Rome Odunze, who I think will be more of the Bears' offense in the second half. Whereas the 4 guys taken ahead of Justin Jefferson were Henry Ruggs, Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb, who obviously has turned into a star, and Jalen Reagor.
Rager's the beautiful one in there.
Yeah.
So here's with Brian Thomas. I have a tendency to fall in love for the tall, fast guys, and that's what Brian Thomas Jr. is. And then you watch me, LSU, like,
are you Chris
like
Ballard?
It's not perfect, but it's just like Chris Ballard. And I'm like, with Brian Thomas Jr., I was like, am I doing it again? Am I doing it again where I fall in love with this tall, fast receiver who can smoke these college corners? And it's been nice to see him do so well. Again, on an offense that has been pretty bad with the Jags, he's been able to be the one like bright spot on that team. Now, I still think Neighbors is the better receiver. He's just missed 2 games, and that matters when you're putting together an awards ballot.
So who is the third guy? Penik, who do you have third?
Yeah, so I have Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors. I put Ladd McConkey third.
Same.
I have.
Same. Oh, we all agreed. How about that?
Clean sweep. Yeah. I thought I was going to be a little bit different.
Well, Marvin Harrison Jr. is the only other guy that you would consider.
Yes.
He's got, I think, 1 more touchdown than Ladd McConkey, but he's had higher highs and lower lows this year than McConkey, who seems to continuously be ascending. That's why I did it that way.
Yeah, and I mean, he's 5 yards behind Marvin Harrison Jr. with 4 less targets and a less game. Higher yards per route run. He has 4 touchdowns. It's not like Ladd McConkey has 1 receiving touchdown. Marvin Harrison Jr. has 5. Right. I have him 4. And the Chargers offense, I know the Cardinals are a high rushing offense, but the Chargers offense is a little like, it's been a struggle with some of the talent that they've had around them, and McConkey's been that bright spot on them in the passing game.
That offense in LA, Chargers, they've been throwing the ball a little bit more the last couple weeks. Herbert, there's film people on Twitter that are cutting up. Look at this throw by Herbert. Look at that throw by Herbert. And I really think it is thanks to the kind of surgence of Ladd McConkey, 2nd in yards per route run in man coverage. Total yards per route run, he's better than Marvin Harrison Jr. Marvin Harrison Jr. is below 2 yards per route run right now, which isn't awesome. And Ladd's above 2. It's pretty close, but Ladd McConkey's getting open, and especially these last couple weeks for Ladd, I think what's put him third for me on this all-team 11 personnel wide receiver list than over MHJ.
Okay, we each have 10 seconds on this. If you were to buy stock in one receiver from this draft and cash it in 10 years from now, who would make you the most money? Bobby, go.
Marvin Harrison Jr. still.
Penik?
Yeah, I'm still gonna say Marvin Harrison Jr.
I think I like Brian Thomas. I saw him in person. I heard a lot of good things out of that locker room about him, how he goes about his business, the whole bit. All right, we'll get to the rest of the offense momentarily, but first, Penik, the world is yours.
Oh, the world is yours. It's mine. It's mine. Whose world is it? It's Captain Morgan's world, and it's the Captain Morgan Playmakers Fantasy League. Here's an update on it. I'm 4-5. I'm on a 2-game winning streak. I told you to look out. Shelfie sleepers are 5-4. He has the final playoff spot, and I'm right on his heels, man. And Lucas Diversa, the representing the John Boy Media office, is in first place. We can't have that. We can't have it with the team of a league of creators, and one of the team is the office. The office can't win. So Dalton Feely is 6-3. He's on a 2-game losing streak. Jolly Olive's hot, 6-3. Team Talking Jake, fun. He's 6-3 as well. And then Zoe is 5-4. And like I said, Shelfie's 5-4 as well. That's your top 6. And I'm right in 7th on the heels, waiting to earn that final playoff spot. And I want to thank Captain Morgan. Thank you so much for sponsoring this fantasy football league. It's been a lot of fun. A lot of people are getting relieved that they aren't in last place. Who's in last place right now? That has to do with punishment. Ryan Cohen. Tight. Yikes. Not a football guy. This NFL season, this is where legends are born on and off the field. Like in our fantasy league, Ryan Cohen is a legend that figured out that he loves fantasy football this year. Grab your crew, grab a captain and a cola, make it a story to remember, because legends start when you follow the captain. Visit followthecaptain.com for more. Please drink responsibly. Captain Morgan Original Spice Rum, 35% alcohol by volume. Captain Morgan Rum Company in New York, New York. Fellas, you will be glad you did.
We are glad we did. All right, let's quickly move through tight end and offensive line. If anybody has somebody not named Brock Bowers, they're going to be shit canned from the show. He's on pace for over 100 catches. Jatavian Sanders, though, of Carolina, keep your eyes out on him. Good athletic tight end.
Hey, what to watch for in Germany? The battle for tight end 2 in the class, Jatavian Sanders and Theo Johnson. Theo Johnson, the much better blocker. Sanders had more receiving yards. But Bowers is just leading all tight ends in receiving yards by like 82.
Yeah, he's also, I think, second in the league in catches. So he's done a great job.
Another guy I was worried, I was like, are we falling in love with this super slot tight end? And it comes to the NFL, not work. Good job, Brock Bowers, being good.
Offensive line, let's roll through this. Bobby, what do you got?
So not a lot of guys have played this year. I think Joe Alt has been the best. He gets it for offensive tackle. J.C. Latham has been pretty good after week 1 struggles. A quarter of his pressures came from that game alone. I think he's a little bit tapped out of who he is, but he's been good early on. With the guards, Dominic Puny out of Kansas with the 49ers. He's been the guy who's played the most, and he's done well. Jackson Powers Johnson with the Raiders is my other. And then center is actually the most competitive one. You've got Justin's guy, Bo Limmer. You've got Graham Barton in Tampa Bay. And there's a couple other. But Zach Frazier, I think, has been he's 6th best for pass blockers. And centers this year has been a huge advantage in the run game. So going tackles, Joe Alt, J.C. Latham, guard, Dominic Puny, Jackson Powers Johnson, and then center, Zach Frazier.
Shout out to the Senior Bowl, Dominic Puny and Bo Limmer. I love them there, and they're great pros. Look at that.
All the interior guys have been good Senior Bowl guys.
Also want to shout out Cooper Beebe of the Cowboys, who had never played
another
center.
one.
He had never played center until this year. Go learn baptism in the NFL. Let's move to the defensive side of things. A couple of edge rushers. Obviously, Jared Verse, who has just been an animal. 39 pressures this year, nearly double the next rookie. Also, 9 tackles for loss, which is top 10 in the NFL. I know that you were on him from day one, Bobby.
Yeah, he was my favorite. He was my best defensive player in the draft. And it's not just like guys can run into some sacks and tackles for a loss and it make them look better than what they are. I actually don't even think it does Jared versus Justice. I mean, he's fourth in win rate behind Miles Garrett, Aiden Hutchinson, Miles Garrett, and Trey Hendrickson.
Yep.
I loved him. Again, my best defensive player in the draft. He's been better than what I thought he would be as a rookie. He's sixth in the total sacks, hits, and pressures. I mean, I don't think there's anybody in this class. I don't think there's anything that can be done in the second half of the season to take Defensive Rookie of the Year away from him. Short of Kenyon Mitchell having 6 interceptions, I don't think there's anything that can be done to take this award away from him.
Who's your other edge, Penik?
I say this kind of reluctantly.
Same.
It's Latu, right?
Yeah, there's no one else is even popping, even on like a small sample size popping. It's Latu. He's second for rookies in total pressures, but he's 38th in the NFL. He's not winning more than the stats say. Only has 2 sacks, only 2 tackles for loss. I've been very disappointed on the edge class outside of Verse.
I will say Chop Robinson just had his best game against the Bills, and he just got his first sack. And if he can continue to turn that speed into power and make some plays, I think he can maybe have a second half push.
There's one other guy who I just think deserves a little love. His numbers aren't astounding, as you mentioned. I think that Verse leads the entire class with 3.5 sacks. Jonah Ellis, he's got a couple of sacks out there in Denver. For people that are my age, you might remember his dad, Luther, was a top 10 pick by the Lions back in the early 90s. And it seems like every fifth team around the NFL has one of his brothers playing for it.
Yeah, Caden is a linebacker in the NFL.
Yeah, and Christian is a linebacker with the Patriots as well. Defensive tackle, now that's where there's a lot more talent. Penik, who do you have penciled in there?
Yeah, I think Braden Fisk is the easy one right now. And it's been really cool to see the combo of the 2 second-year guys and Turner and Young, and then seeing Verse and Fisk. So Verse and Braden Fisk have a combined 64 pressures. That's the most by any rookie duo since 2018, and they are on pace to record 136 combined pressures. That's per Rams PR. So
who was it in 2018?
I don't know.
Oh, you can't give us a stat and not have anything to back it up.
Ask the Rams PR. The Rams PR.
I don't
I'm
have
look
their
up the
number.
2018 draft class.
Look up the 2018 draft class. No, but Fisk has been good, and I think especially the last couple of weeks. Again, I think he's done some fun stuff. I think he's starting to use his hands more. I think he's shown some strength too. So I have Braden Fisk. I think he's the easiest number one.
Yeah, well, in part because remember they traded up a bunch of spots to go get him, and the Rams actually there were a lot of people they were shit talking. They were like, "Why would you do that? That's too much to go up and get him." But these 2 guys who have been their top 2 picks have been dominant. Can I tell you the other guy I've got marked there, and his numbers aren't astounding, but I think his play in the second half of the year is going to be something to watch, and it's Johnny Newton out of Washington. He had his best game.
He's playing really good ball.
He really is. In week 8, he was not only the best rookie, according to PFF, he was the best defender in the league that week. That's how he graded out. He was very disruptive against the Bears. I think he actually recovered that fumble when they handed it off to their backup offensive lineman at the goal line. I think that you're going to see him, like we were all like, wow, he fell to the second round, but of course he had that foot injury and everything else. I think he's going to be a stabilizing force for the next several years.
I'll tell you what surprises me the most about him. It's his strength. And I watched it and made a short on that game. He's shown more strength, and we know that he has the lateral quickness and the quickness and everything like that. In the NFL, he's shown strength, and he's bull rushing, he's bench pressing dudes back. And if that continues for him, he will dominate in the NFL.
Yeah, I've been super impressed with him. Like you guys said, like it's not just the pass rushing numbers for a small, a shorter defensive tackle. Like I think he's looked not just like winning in the run game, but showed great instincts. And he was my third favorite defensive player after Verse and Kenyon Mitchell in the draft. And I think he's going to really come along. I think he's looked better than Daron Payne for Washington. And that's a big money player right there. So Johnny Mathis, I've been super impressed with him as he's come on a little bit later.
Anybody have anybody else they want to mention before I get to something?
I'll be quick.
My second is actually T'Vondre Sweat.
Mine too.
Like Johnny Newton's would be third. T'Vondre Sweat. Like Johnny Newton or Byron Murphy would be 3 and 4. T'Vondre Sweat's been such a good run defender that I put him number 2.
Yeah, I think he's flashed some quick hands at times too. And I think the most impressive stat for T'Vondre Sweat, he's played 67% of the snaps as a really, really big boy. So he's been good against the run. I think he flashes quick hands. He flashes strength as a pass rusher, but no numbers to really fully back that up. But 67% of the snaps for a big guy that hey, could be overweight, could be tired. No, he's playing out there. He's out there and he's playing. So Devontae Sweat, I have him second.
All right. Well, you know what we all need a little bit more of these days? To get off our ass. With bold flavors and a refreshing citrus kick, Mountain Dew's going to get you off your ass and have you feeling like you're on an actual mountain. A mountain where the weather's always perfect, your friends are ready to hang, and a day of epic proportions awaits. So go out, do something outside that's equal parts fun and competition. Free throw shooting contest, 3-point shooting contest, longest throw with a football. Maybe you do frisbee golf. Maybe you've got a TV set up outside, a monitor. Bring your gamer headsets. Go do video games with your boys. Play kickball, play wiffle ball, play pickleball, play blitzball, invent a new kind of ball. I don't care. Why? Because the mountain is calling and you should answer. So grab your friends, grab an ice cold Mountain Dew wherever refreshing beverages are sold, and 3 words for you. Do the do. We continue on. We're going to do a couple of off-ball linebackers. We're going to mention these guys very quickly. I'll mention 2. Edgerrin Cooper of the Packers, who's still not even getting full-time snaps, but has put up really, really good numbers. Leads all rookies with 44 tackles, 5 tackles for a loss. He also has 2.5 sacks. Peyton Wilson of the Steelers, only playing slightly less than half the snaps, but his tackle percentage leads the team. Anybody else want to throw somebody in there very quickly?
I missed that quickly. Did you say Edgerrin Cooper for the first one?
I did.
Yes.
Yeah, so those are mine. Edgerrin Cooper, Peyton Wilson. Cooper had, he won NFC Defensive Player of the Week one week. Wasn't the greatest linebacker class, but it felt like that was everyone's one and two right there.
Yep.
And it's showing out in the NFL so far.
Edgerrin
The
Cooper,
Packers need to play Cooper more, by the way.
They do. They
Yes,
do.
they do.
His instinct, as long as his instincts is there, he's got to get his pad level down a little bit lower. I think he's going to be really good. Edgerrin Cooper ended Christian Kirk's season on one of the best coverage plays you will ever see from a linebacker. And it's unfortunate that he ended Christian Kirk's season. That's how Christian Kirk broke his collarbone, because Cooper had the athleticism to chase down a streak, a go ball, 30 yards down the field, knocks that football out, makes a play on the football, lands on Kirk, breaks his collarbone, but it's one of the best off-ball linebacker plays you'll ever see in coverage.
All right, guys, we got about 3 minutes to get through the secondary. Bobby, just roll through your entire secondary. Let's go.
The easy one, Kenyon Mitchell for the Eagles. Corner's tough. I put Kamari Lassiter and Tyke Smith. I know there's some other guys that have gone interceptions like Beanie Bishop, but I think Tyke Smith has been a better player. And then safety, I went Evan Williams for the Packers. He's been a key piece for them. And then I went Malik Mustafa from the 49ers. I know he got ran over by Patrick Mahomes, but he's been a good piece for them. There's some other guys I'm watching for in the second half. Cam Kinchins, does he play a little more? Does Tyler Nubin start to get a little more ball production by being a solid player? But I went Williams and Mustafa as my safety duo.
Penik?
I have Quinyon Mitchell and Nate Wiggins as 1 and 2 for the outside. Wiggins is making a lot of plays on the ball. He has a high forced incompletion rate.
Yep.
Quinyon Mitchell's holding his own as the CB1 for the Philadelphia Eagles. And then I put Drew Phillips and Tyke Smith in there as two nickel guys, because again, I feel like the difference between them, and I am showing my bias towards my Giants. I think Tyke Smith overall has been more impressive, but Drew Phillips has also been really physical as well. And there are certain games where he just doesn't even get targeted because he does take care of his business on the coverage back end. So Quinyon Mitchell, Nate Wiggins, Drew Phillips, Tyke Smith. And safeties, I have Evan Williams and Tyler Nubin.
So for corners, Mitchell, got him. Lassiter, got him. In Houston, they're good to go with Singletary and Lassiter for years to come. I did like Beanie Bishop. He seems to be coming on. 3 interceptions in the last 2 games. I love undrafted guys. Evan Williams, I think, has been better than Nubin.
I agree.
So I'm going to go with him. They really missed him, by the way, last week in that Lions game. And everybody was talking about Javon Bullard, by the way, up there in Green Bay, but Williams has been the guy. And Jalen McCullough of the Rams, an undrafted guy.
4 interceptions.
4 interceptions. There's only 5 guys in the NFL that have done that. Once again, I believe another undrafted guy.
Targeted 4 times and 4 interceptions. Now, 3 of those have been tipped up, but still, that's an insane stat.
Got tips and overthrows. Got to have them. Got to have them. All right, before we get out of here, we're going to do quick picks for the week. Guys, Sunday morning, get started early. I'll be there on the pregame show on NFL Network. You'll be there right along with me watching your beloved Giants take on the Panthers in Munich. Bobby, who do you have?
If the Giants are the second worst team in the NFL, the Panthers are the worst. Giants undefeated in Europe.
Giants also stay undefeated in Europe. I agree with Bobby. And by the way, Last week, I had a good week. This is not counting Monday football, by the way. I went 10 for 14. Bobby went 9 for 14. Rose went 7 for 14.
Ugh.
On the year, I have a 58.1% winning rate. Chris Rose has 54%. Bobby Skinner's down to 49.1.
Ugh.
It's not very good. And if it to make this even worse, to put salt on the wound, Dalton Philly before last week's game had a record of 84 and 39. So maybe follow Dalton Philly a little bit.
Right. Well, all I can tell you is this: when our winning percentages are nearing Anthony Richardson's completion percentage, it's time to give something up. I am going to finish with the Giants. Hey, Daniel Jones, his home road splits are insane. He loves playing on the road, so when he's playing halfway around the world, he might look like, I don't know, C.J. Stroud this week.
Very far away from home.
New England and Chicago. Penik, who do you have? Then, Bobby, you go.
Chicago, please find a way. Don't look bad.
The Bears piss me off. I'm going to go Patriots get an upset victory here.
I'm going to go with Chicago. I think they'll rebound after two not good performances. Buffalo at Indianapolis. Bobby.
Buffalo.
Yeah, I agree.
God, I couldn't stand to watch the Colts, but I think this is one of those games where Buffalo doesn't look great, but I think the Colts season is on the line this week, and I think Joe Flacco is going to get them going. I'm going to go upset with the Colts. Penik, Kansas City playing host to Denver.
Yeah, Chiefs are going to win this, even if it's a little ugly. They will go to 9-0.
9-0 Chiefs.
Yeah, I think it's going to be closer than most people think. I think Denver sticks right with them. They beat them last year, I think, didn't they? So
correct. First time they beat them in like a long time.
Yes, but I'm going to go with Kansas City. All right, New Orleans got a new coach in place. They play host to the division-leading Falcons, Bobby.
Interim coach. Saints aren't totally devoid of talent. They win their first game under the interim coach. What is his name? Tony Rizzi or what? Something Rizzi?
Darren Rizzi.
Darren Rizzi.
Bergen Catholic. Yeah, there's a rule. You don't pick the interim. You don't pick against the team that has the interim head coach, especially during the first game. Give me the Saints.
I'm a rule breaker. Go Falcons. 49ers at the Bucks. Penik.
Bucks win big.
Niners get back on track.
They're coming off the bye, and hopefully they'll get McCaffrey back this week. I like the Niners. Steelers at the Commanders in a fun one, Bobby.
I go Commanders. I go Commanders in this one.
Come
on,
Steelers.
Yeah, I think this one might be a Steelers win. I'd like to see Washington continue its run at home, particularly with the Eagles applying pressure, but I think that Pittsburgh coming off a bye is going to do something. Minnesota at Jacksonville. Penik.
Vikings, I just think Brian Flores is going to do too much to Trevor Lawrence.
Yep, Vikings.
Oh, I'm going to try with Jacksonville. They came all the way back against the Eagles. I don't know.
Won.
Yeah, well, maybe. But I think Jacksonville gets its third win of the year. Chargers playing host to the Tennessee Titans. Bobby.
Go Chargers. We keep rolling.
Another easy game. Another win for the Chargers.
Yeah, they're playing some great football. Defensively, leading the league in points per game allowed. We all like the Bolts.
Feels like the Chargers play the worst team in the NFL every week.
Like every week.
It definitely feels that way. NFC East, the Dallas Cowboys with Cooper Rush under center, playing host to the Eagles. Justin?
Eagles. Not enough for the Cowboys.
Yeah, Cooper Rush is undefeated, I think, as a start. No, he's not quite. He stayed undefeated. Former New York Giants four-string quarterback. Eagles win.
Go Eagles. Fly, Eagles, fly. Jets on the road at Arizona. Interesting game, Bobby.
Jets win.
Cardinals win.
I got the Cardinals. And
Yes.
Sunday night, our game of the week, the Lions on the road at Houston, Penik.
Lions, I don't know if Texans are getting good people back yet, so Lions, just keep it up.
Lions smoke them.
Smoke 'em.
I think Houston's going to win this one. And Monday Night Football, the Dolphins on the road in L.A. to take on the Rams. Bobby?
Rams, get it on track. Let's go Rams. Let's see that young draft class we just talked about in live action. Rams win.
People are going to want to go, the Rams are the sexy team. We even talked about it last week, but no, the Dolphins are going to go to LA and they're going to have a good time on offense. So give me the Dolphins.
Go Rams, go in that one. Hey, this was a fun one. Thanks for tuning in. For Bobby Skinner, Justin Penik, I am Chris Rose. We will see you Monday here on Football Today, presented to you by Captain Morgan, the official spiced rum of the NFL.